From the Middle is proud to be a founding member of Odd Pods Media. Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode number 209 of From the Middle. We're three middle-class guys living in the middle of America, in the middle chapters of our lives with a point of view that is somewhere in the middle. We are a comedy and culture podcast. We call ourselves that because when you start a podcast, Apple makes you choose things to call yourselves, and that's what we went with. We try to be funny. Sometimes that works out. Sometimes it doesn't. Stick around and you can judge that for yourself. What we want is for you to feel like that you are a part of a fun conversation. One of the ways that we have to do that is going to be found in the description below. You can click on the LinkTree and that'll get you to all of our social stuff. We have a Facebook group. There's a voicemail. Those are fun and all kinds of stuff there. This week, we talk about Father's Day, what we're eating, what we're riding, what we're playing, what we're wearing on our heads. Speaking of riding, Kory goes on a fantastical motorcycle ride with some issues, and Kendall goes to a Chinese restaurant in a different way. And then we talk about after the break the new option that fancy people have to fly airplanes now. And more celebrities, a stressed guy opening a door on a flying aircraft, and tips and tricks on leftovers, the usual stuff. Enjoy.
Oh, for the love. Sorry, just clearing my Mountain Dew hole.
I got my phone hole cleaned today.
That's where you keep it? You're so cerebral and you're so developed and evolved.
From the Middle after dark over here.
Episode 209. Episode 209. Episode 209. Happy belated Father's Day, gentlemen.
You do.
Happy June, whatever this is. Did you guys have a good Father's Day?
Yes, sir.
Yay!
Yes, sir. Did you?
Sure did. Let's go around and talk about it. I woke up to a gift. The kids had made me a little card saying that a pair of Jordans I have been wanting for a very long time were on their way. Royal blue and black ones, not specifically designed for the handicapped. Yay!
All right.
And then we went to church. And then we went to my favorite restaurant lately, Torchy's Tacos. And then went down to a pool party and got to see my dad. A couple of days before that, got to see my father-in-law and Dylan and I stepdad. So just a good weekend celebrating fathers and being celebrated and feeling very loved on by my wife and kiddos. And it was pretty special. How about you guys?
Well, so we on Friday, I made lasagna because lasagna is one of my top 5 favorite foods. As a matter of fact, let me tell you this. Top 5 favorite foods in the world of Kendall are lasagna, that's numero uno. Pizza, wings, nachos. See, it's hard for me to take away nachos and let's say mussels and fish and chips.
Nice.
That's my top 5 or 6 right there. And
that's a good list.
Hit all of those bases.
Yeah.
Starting on Friday night. So that was
all in one dish.
I'll have can I get the clam chicken wing nachos, please?
We call that the Midwest Blitz.
I'd try it.
Question. Lasagna with cottage cheese, ricotta cheese, both, neither?
Neither.
Okay.
Bechamel and bolognese.
Now I know growing up, there was always a layer of cottage cheese for us, which some people find weird. I like it, but I would eat it with or without it. It doesn't matter. Both are good.
I mean, between those two, I'm a ricotta guy, but speaking lasagna specifically, I'm a homogeneous texture, creamy bechamel guy.
Nice.
So did that, and man, it was good eating. Got some gifts. I got Metroid Prime remastered for Nintendo Switch.
Nice.
So haven't really had a chance to dive into that yet, but I'm excited. It's one of the few, if not maybe only, I don't know, first person shooter Metroid game. And
Yeah.
I like that about it. So
Did
we'll see.
You have Mario Kart, right? Everyone who owns a Switch has Mario Kart.
Yeah.
Have you guys both done the online pass where you get like 50 extra race tracks?
No.
Yeah, if you do, I forget the details, but you've got to do it. They've released 3 sets of 8 new tracks, and there's 2 more they're going to release. So you get a bunch more tracks that you can keep playing. So like I purposefully was waiting a while because now 3 of 5 are out. So I'm going back 3 starring the 50cc, the new ones on 50, the new ones on 100, the new ones on 150, to like 200 reverse. So I think you've just got to pay. I think you pay a one-time thing, or if you have the online pass, you get it for free. Maybe, I don't know. You got to look into it. But there's a bunch more racetracks.
Isn't that Mario Kart 8?
8 for Switch.
Okay, but for the Switch, yeah, got it.
Yeah. So just Google whatever that is, and I think we got it because we already have the online, like game online pass or whatever. Or maybe you have to pay for it and it's minimal, but it's pretty sweet. Definitely do it. Lots of great tracks.
I just got my micro SD card, so I'm ready to download the new Zelda. I have not done that yet, but now I'm prepped and ready to go. I was tired of deleting games every time I got a new game.
Makes total sense.
No, I laugh because like my daughter told me today that she wants Tears of the Kingdom. Or no, Breath of the Wild is what she told me she wanted. And I looked at her and I'm like, I feel like if I were to get that for you, you would be frustrated and mad all the time.
Daddy, how do I?
Because you're 7.
I can't seem to.
Yeah. And so I tried to kind of convince her that, like, it wasn't meant for kids your age. Like, I know it looks pretty, but it's not going to be fun once you get into it. But she still kind of wants it. We do we buy the physical cartridge on all the games that we can because we've got 4 Switches, and so you want this one, you want that one, do that thing.
Yeah. I will say a little extra food for thought. If she really still wants the game, but you're unsure, I was rarely a kid who ever finished a game, but I could play enough of it to still feel like I got my enjoyment out of it and it was worthwhile. So like I rarely beat final bosses and things, or even got that far. But her just running around, it may be the Grand Theft Auto thing. It might just be running around, being able to goof off is enough fun. And that might be the same for that game.
We had Animal Crossing for a really long time, which I've never played, but she was the one who really wanted it and wanted to get into it. And she tried it for like a day and was like, no, never again, and put it away. And because she couldn't figure it out what to do. And then one day, like at karate, while there's a few other kids who kind of like sit in the galley while their moms and dads are out on the mat doing their thing. And she had an opportunity where an older girl who is familiar with Animal Crossing was showing Lydia how to play the game. And then and so I've been thinking, like, I remember, like, I think it was on N64, maybe, trying a Legend of Zelda game that everybody was crazy about. And at the time, I was like, I want quick and fast adventure, first-person shooter, give me a gun.
Yeah.
Stuff is pretty much all I wanted to do. And so I started playing Zelda, and I'm like, well, this is dumb, and stopped. And so I haven't picked up Zelda since, but now I'm like, I'm older. I'm more mature now. And
older,
at least
sure.
older.
I still got myself a Nintendo Switch, so how mature can I possibly be?
True.
Maybe I should give Breath of the Wild a shot.
I think you should.
And then Tears of the Kingdom if I enjoy Breath of the Wild. And then maybe I can walk Lydia through it. I don't know.
I struggle with that too. Like Case on vacation. There was the family that we vacationed with. They have an older son. He was playing his older copy of Call of Duty. I forget which it was. I want to say Cold War. And so they just did some private matches, one player versus one player. Maybe they added a bunch of AI and bots and stuff so they could basically just go around shooting the bots. So Case is now convinced that he wants to play Call of Duty, and he's 8. And so we come home and he's like, Dad, can I play your version of Call of Duty, which is Warzone is what I primarily play. There's a few different Warzone modes. And it's just like, I'm not trying to be a gatekeeper, but he's 8. And it isn't the violence. There's so much strategy and there's so many like key points you have to visit and pay attention to your tactical map and be reading the dialogue, especially if you're playing with other real players and they're pinging things on the map that you have to be paying attention to. And it's like, dude, just stick to your cute cartoon Fortnite. Like, I'm not trying to tell you no, but you're going to keep calling me in to try to help you navigate it. And then you're going to be frustrated because people online are so good. Just stick to Fortnite, man.
Yeah. Cause like I tried to talk her into, there's like the Animal Crossing looking ish version of Legend of Zelda.
Mm-hmm.
And then I forget which one.
Wind Waker or something like that.
Maybe
the cute version.
Yeah. And so I'm like, let's try that one. But she doesn't want to try that one. She wants Breath of the Wild.
I was going to say, if you have the online thing, you can go back and download older versions of the game that would have been simpler on like Nintendo, Super Nintendo, 64. I don't know if any of those would appeal to her. If you could get her an older Zelda game.
Link's Awakening. That's the cute.
Link's Awakening.
2019. Yeah. Anyway.
We'll see. There's one of my meals that I want to kind of like highlight, but later after we're done with Father's Day stuff. So Dylan,
over to you, buddy.
Well, I am wearing my favorite gift, which is my Wrexham Football Club hat that I got.
All right.
Very excited about that. It was a nice weekend. It was still full and busy. So I would say it felt more like a normal weekend, but it was nice to see Kory and my dad during the weekend. And so we did go to one of the restaurants nearby to kind of get some family together. Normally it's good. Had a really bad experience, so that kind of spoiled the like wanting to have a nice meal on Father's Day kind of thing. But it was still nice to be able to go out and do that. So yeah, it was very good. Very nice weekend. No, nothing crazy to talk about, but had a good time.
Good.
So this isn't a Father's Day thing, but I have a funny story from Friday that I thought you guys would appreciate. And, we've talked a lot on this podcast about like not quite feeling like you fit into certain worlds or certain hobbies or interests. But generally you find when you're approaching in a new hobby or field of interest that the people that do that a lot are very welcoming and for the most part, very agreeable and willing to help you and whatever. So got a motorcycle a few years ago. Most of you know that. And the guy that got me into bikes, Greg, sent me a picture and said, hey, I'm at the Harley dealership in your town. And there's this guy, Adam Sandoval, who is doing a tour across the U.S., visiting every single Harley Davidson dealership, raising money for wounded warriors. And Harley Davidson gave him a Road Glide, decked out, top of the line, whatever. We'll tag Adam and the convoy on this podcast. So the point of all this text from Greg was there are 2 dealerships in Columbus. And on Friday around lunchtime, he's going to be at one, taking pictures with people, signing autographs, raising money, whatever. And then whoever wants to join him is going to be riding from one dealership around the outer belt to the other dealership. Would you like to be a part of this? And I'm like, sure, man, that sounds fun. So I cleared my Friday, took some mental health time, visited my friend Greg at Skyline Chili for lunch. And then we went to the first dealership, which the festivities there were wrapping up. So we timed it so that we'd get there right as they were beginning the convoy ride. We didn't know how many riders there would be. We didn't know how big of a deal this would be. We didn't know how well marketed it was, but we were like, let's go check it out, right? So we go over to Faro East. When we pull into the parking lot of the dealership, there's already, and I'm guessing 100 or so motorcycles. There are food trucks. There's loud music. It's a big thing. And this is mostly very Harley looking guys. And it's also benefiting Wounded Warriors. So there's a lot of veterans and very tough, tattooed, cool looking dudes. So I already felt a little out of my element, but we pull our bikes to the back of this long line that they had formed in the parking lot that was 2 bikes wide. But we still had about 10 or 15 minutes to kill before they were going to start their ride up to Faro North, near where I live. So we're like, hey, let's just do a hot lap through the dealership. I had never been to that dealership before. Let's see what bikes they have. Let's see what's going on, whatever, right? So we park, we take our helmets off, we go inside. The guy, Adam Sandoval, just happens to be sitting in a big leather chair all by himself when we walk in. Clearly, everyone who had wanted to meet him in the 2-hour window he was there had already met him, and he was just kind of chilling now, waiting to kill time until they were going to start the ride. So we get to shake his hand. Hey, appreciate what you're doing. This is really cool. He's like, you guys going to ride with us? And we're like, yeah, totally. So we're just killing time. We're walking around, looking at bikes, all that, just sort of taking in the sights. And then he stands up, he goes out to the crowd, and he begins a few like safety things that he's covering. Hey, everybody, gather around. Here's how we're going to do this ride. It is not a police escorted ride. So this is just kind of ride at your own pace. If the line gets broken up, don't worry about it. It's fine. We would rather get to our next destination safely than all get there at the same time. So just ride your own ride. If you like more space between you and the riders around you, stick closer to the back. If you're an advanced rider and you're comfortable being very close on the highway, stay up front. Don't worry if cars cut in front of the line. It's fine. We'll all get there, right? So then he does this sort of like, let's go. And you just start seeing guys put their helmets on and you hear bikes firing up, right?
Yeah.
So now I'm walking out to my bike. When I see my bike lights are flashing, I have left my bike not running, but I have left the ignition switch on. And so all my electrics had been running that entire time. So now it's like, vroom, vroom, everybody's starting their bikes. And I'm like, oh, crap. So I hit my ignition and it goes, kick, 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 kick. And I'm panicking. And I look over, I'm like, Greg, I don't know what to do. All the bikes going by me. So now guys are trying to be helpful, but they're starting their ride. So they're slowly rolling through the lot and they're going, do you need a starter? Is it the ignition? Is it the battery? I've got a jumper box. Try Kickstarter.
Yeah. I've got a jumper box as he's leaving. Yeah, just to let you know that he could probably help you. But
one really nice guy comes over. He goes, "What's the problem?" I'm like, I don't know. I think I left it on run. He's like, okay, just jumpstart it. Have you ever done that before? I'm like, no. He's like, I'll push you. I'm like, okay. So a grown man is pushing me, and I'm like trying to hold the bike up. He's like, put it in third. And I'm like, what? He's put it in third. So apparently if you put the bike in third, it's easy to push and then you just pop the clutch and that's enough momentum to spark. And then it like just starts apparently, but I've never done that ever. But that's something gearheads and people that understand engines know. So I'm like, okay, man, I don't know what I'm doing. You just try it. So then he hops on and I'm pushing him and you still hear people going, is it the starter? Is it the battery? Do you need it? Vroom, 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 vroom. It's just like, of course, this has to happen to somebody, and it's me, right? Finally, I was like, stop everything. I ripped the battery box off. Somebody had a little starter, a little jumper kit. Just put the red on the red, put the ground on ground, and let it sit for a minute. It starts up. Now the convoy is gone.
Yeah.
Everybody's gone. Luckily, they were just going to the Sheetz gas station across the street first to fill up, and then they were going to start. But still, so this guy was nice enough to help and whatever. So we ride to a place called Quaker Steak and Lube. It's a fairly well-known wing place and bar. And we were going to go there between that and the other dealership. So we pull into the parking lot. I just happened to pull next to the guy who was the guy that gave me the jump at the previous dealership. So when we park our bikes, he goes, make sure you shut it off. And I was like, all right, man, you get one. You get to say that once. He goes, no, seriously, man, it happens to everybody sooner or later. Why do you think all these guys have, jumper kits? Because it's going to happen to somebody. It was your turn today. Anyway, everybody was very gracious about it, but it was just such a me thing to have happen. Like, I'm trying to fit in with this group of awesome experienced writers and veterans, pretending like I know what I'm doing, and just looked like a total ass. It was pretty fun times.
At least you were willing to accept help. So many people in that situation would have just waved people by, be like, I got it. It's fine. Sure, it's just the compassin noodle oid, and I'm at the shop. I'll just pick up a new one real quick.
Oh no, there was no playing it cool, man. It was like, but it, honestly, jokes aside and funny stories aside, it was a pretty cool thing to be a part of. I know there have been some concerns about wounded warriors in the past and how they spend some of their dollars, but I hope and think that they've corrected those things. But no, it was cool. This guy's like I said, he's going to every dealership in the US and is trying to raise, I think, $500,000 for wounded warriors, and pretty cool thing. So yeah, had never heard of it before, but got to experience like a big old bike convoy,
Yeah,
pretty cool.
That's cool. We're taking our bikes with us on vacation next week.
Yeah,
so that's the same thing.
Totally the same thing.
Yeah,
and as long as your handlebars are facing the right way, everything's going to be fine.
Exactly.
You have an issue with the handlebars, I don't know when to turn mine off. It's fine.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, mine, I'm never going to leave mine on. Like, that's not a thing. So that's good. That's good. I had a very good experience on Saturday evening for dinner. And there's my wife works with a woman who is a Chinese immigrant. Her and her husband migrated here a while ago. They have a kid. And I guess they both, I think, work at the hospital. And this woman is so kind and so sweet. Amy was sort of like in her life at the right time, when it was like an integral moment for her to change the trajectory of her career. Like, she could go this way or that way, and Amy suggested go that way, and she went that way, and things have been going really well for her.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I mean, the Chinese culture, like a lot of Asian culture, is like, you would think that she's treating that whole situation as if she owes Amy her life now. Like, she had never met our kids. Amy has brought home gifts from her for our kids. Like, super kind and sweet. And they offered to take us out to dinner on Saturday to a Chinese restaurant of their choice. And and there was no way. We tried various angles to try to let us pay for it. Like, it was the day before their anniversary. She had just received this promotion. Like, let us do a gift for you to celebrate these things. And
sure.
nope, there was no, even if we wanted, we kept asking, and kept trying to convince them why we should be paying. But the dude still like got up at some point, snuck away, found the server and paid for it before the bill even showed up. Like they weren't going to let us pay, which was super kind of them. And they told us the name of the restaurant. It's called China House. It's in Westerville, and you pull it up, and it's not in the best area of town, and it looks like on the outside like any other Chinese takeout place. But then you open it, you go inside, and it's a full size restaurant in there, and not like super swanky or anything, but what you would imagine possibly of that place being. And we go there, and they hand us our menus, and there's some Caucasian families in there, a couple of Chinese families in there. It's 5:30 when we show up. By 6:00, by dinner hour, the restaurant is full, and they are all Chinese in this restaurant.
It's a good sign.
It is a great sign. And then, so we have our menus, and Amy and I were talking about this, like, this is our chance. Like, we want them to tell us what to eat here. We don't want to be getting no sweet and sour chicken.
Yeah.
We want what, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And so Amy had told them, like, I had this one experience with a Chinese friend, and we went out to dinner together, and the restaurant that we went to had a menu for Chinese people that was different from the menu and the husband was like, yeah, they do that here too. And like, okay. So he went up and talked to the server and got these Chinese menus for all of us to look at that have English also written on them, so you could see what you're getting. Very different menu. The Chinese menu versus the American Chinese menu. Very different menus. I mean, all kinds of alternative meats and things like that on there. So you've got your tripe and your bellies and your, that kind of stuff.
Nice.
But then there's also like duck on there and fried noodles, but there is no lo mein, there is no sweet and sour chicken, nothing like that. And so we're just kind of like going through the menu, kind of telling them what we think maybe sounds interesting, and also like asking them what it is we should do and whatnot. And so then when we don't know what they ended up ordering, all we know is the server came and was talking like very quietly. It's a big table. We couldn't even hear the conversation, talking very quietly in Chinese to our friends. And they had just ordered things. And then about 20-30 minutes later, like the first dish shows up, and then the second one does on this big lazy Susan in the middle of the table.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, there's like 8 or 9 different dishes on this thing. And we're trying all of this stuff, asking them what it is. And that's where I didn't actually have mussels this past weekend, but I did have clams, which are very close, especially when they're just steamed or cooked in a broth and left on the shell and stuff. They're just small mussels is all they are. And so we had like these Chinese clams and 5-spice duck, which was one of the things that I told them, like, I'm interested in seeing what that's all about. And they were very careful to tell me that, like, it's not like getting a roast duck. And I'm like, even if it was, I've only done that like once. So
it's not like a Tuesday occurrence at the Aloha house.
Yeah. And
my experience with duck is the movie A Christmas Story. So whatever it is, probably going to be fine. Just bring it.
Oh man. Yeah. So all of this stuff that is different from Chinese American, you can still, it's not so foreign that it's not like, holy cow, how is this the same place? Like, it's still like, you can still tell it's Chinese food. But it is stuff that I've not had before. Like I said, they don't have lo mein, they have fried noodles, which is a different dish, but it's sort of like what they typically eat, not lo mein. And it was wonderful. The clams, especially, by far my favorite part. The duck was a close second, and it had like the skin and chewy fat kind of still attached to it and everything, which was like really difficult to bite through those portions. And so like I'm watching the husband to see how he's eating this, and he's just like picking up a big piece with his chopstick and just kind of like nibbling on it, like corn on the cob almost, and avoiding the grizzly hard parts. And like, okay, that's how I'm going to do it. Wonderful experience. I want to do that with other cultures now. And again, with Chinese culture, and like ask Chinese restaurants if they have a Chinese menu. And if so, like, can someone either read it to me, or is there also English on it? And if you have a Chinese friend, by all means, ask them to take you somewhere and let them walk you through it. Cause that evening was so fun.
In my experience, you lived the best way to experience new cuisine of any kind. Even if you have a friend that is a sushi connoisseur, have them take you to a sushi place and just order for the table. And that's the way to do it. In my experience, anytime I've been in a different country or I'm trying a very different type of restaurant, that's the best. You just like, here's what, because they know they're going to be sensitive to the fact that you're new to this cuisine. And then they're going to say, maybe start with this. And then if you like that, try this. And if you're feeling adventurous, you can have what we all have. And like, man, that's awesome. I'm glad you got to experience that. And that's the next town over. So I'm going to this place, whether or not I have a chauffeur.
Yeah.
This looks fun.
Yeah, very envious of that situation. My only question is, how do you know, or do you just trust? How do you know if the person taking you there has good taste in food? Because now
good question.
you could make an assumption. We all made the assumption that a Chinese restaurant full of all Chinese people eating at 6 p.m. is a good thing. Well, maybe it probably is. That's an assumption, or it's just really cheap, and maybe lots of people like to eat there because it's really cheap.
Did you just call Chinese people cheap?
No, well, no,
that's what I heard, Dylan.
Like, maybe it's cheap, and so that's like who lives nearby, and so it's full because it's inexpensive. Like it
wasn't about the Chinese people are the ones living in the low income neighborhoods. Yeah,
I'm digging a hole. So my point is,
to China,
if you don't know, you don't ever know if the person has good taste.
Right.
But assuming that they do, that's a very envious situation. Like,
no, I
want to know, I want to go to an Indian restaurant with somebody who knows Indian food really well, whether they're Indian or not. But if they know Indian food really well, and I know that they have, like, if you start talking to them about other good restaurants and they're hitting like key places, like, oh yeah, I went there and I've been there and that was really good. Then you like know they have good taste because you're like lining up on other whatever.
Yeah.
That's even more enviable. So that sounds like an awesome time.
I understand what you're saying. Like there's always the potential of the equivalent of like the American man-child who's like taking somebody unfamiliar with the area to a really nice steakhouse because the mac and cheese there is awesome.
Yeah. Oh, you got to try the chicken tenders.
Right. Yeah.
You know, because whatever they do with the honey mustard is so good here.
Yeah.
It's like that situation. So, but assuming that they know what they're talking about, which it sounds like they did. Now I'm taking notes. I'm like, I want to go try this. I got to find this place in Westerville. I got to go eat there. I need to find the right menu. It sounds awesome.
That is cool. And it reminds me, so Saturday, my father-in-law wanted Thai food. His favorite place in Lima, Ohio, is a place called Thai Jasmine. And like your story, Kendall, from the outside, is a little sketch looking. And then you walk in and it's beautiful and clean. And the food was excellent. And my strategy there was, because I've had pad thai before. I know what pad thai is about. I've had pad thai a lot and it's fine. So I say to the waitress, outside of the pad thai, what's your second most popular dish? And that's what I had. But
what was that?
It was sesame noodles, something.
Okay.
Yeah, it was pretty great. And then I had red snapper as well with some mixed veggies, and it was fried in the veggies. It was very good. But yeah, I would have liked to have been there with some people from Thailand who could show me the ropes.
Yeah.
We will be right back after we hear some friends from friends and Odd Pods. We will be right back after we hear some words from some of our friends in Odd Pods Media. Words are hard and also fun.
Hey man, it's me, Kevin Smith. Everybody knows at the root of any good relationship, any relationship worth anything, is the only thing that matters between two people. And I'm talking about television. That's right. That's why you should listen to Married with Television, man, which is a podcast by my friends Shannon and Jamie, I call her cat ears, about movies and TV that they have loved for decades, man. You listen at marriedwithtv.com or anywhere you get your podcast. They are proud members of the Odd Pods Media Network, man. Married with Television.
So we've talked a lot about interesting travel stories on this podcast, and I wanted to share 2 travel related things with you guys to get your takes on them. Both are stories that I have stolen from our favorite podcast, the Pete and Sebastian Show. So,
of course,
the first,
they've stolen so much from us.
I know it goes back and forth. They steal from us, we steal from them. It's fine. So apparently, there's this guy named Gavin DeBecker who's like he's a very experienced private security entrepreneur. He's started multiple enterprises for private security for celebrities and famous athletes and musicians and things. Separate from his private security business, he's started something called Private Suite, which started in LA at LAX, but is going to expand to New York, Miami, I believe, and Dallas. So this is what you can do rather than the regular rigmarole that we all hate and annoying people and trying to get through security. And then people with their fur babies trying to board early because they say they need extra time for their young children, but it's really just a pet and all that nonsense. Private Suite lets you pull up to the regular passenger drop-off. Once you pull up there, you have a prearranged SUV, blacked out SUV that picks you up from there, takes you onto the tarmac to a building separate from the rest of the airport. In that building, you clear security and you get to hang out in this luxury suite with a bar and restaurant until your flight is ready. And you tell them how early or close to departure, like I want to get on the plane 5 minutes before takeoff, or I like to get to my seat a little early before the other passengers board. Whenever you want to board, you tell them. They drive parallel with the planes on the tarmac. They drive to the gate that your plane is at. You take the steps that the people carrying the roller bags use to go up and down.
Yeah.
The jet bridge. That's where you emerge and you get right onto the plane. That's $1,000 to do that. For $4,000, instead of it being a suite with food and stuff, you can get a totally private room for you and your family instead of sharing it with the other people who are taking advantage of this service. I will never be at the income level where I can afford such a thing, but I love the idea. And because of his security connections, he's able to do this, because I can't imagine it's easy to just have big black SUVs driving around on the tarmac with all the other airport vehicles and whatnot. But he's made these arrangements, and it's going to be soon available at 4 separate airports. I think this is very exciting.
It is a very exciting idea. The kind of thing that I would think that the people who could afford that probably, I don't know, but maybe not. Maybe $1,000 is more accessible than what it otherwise would cost to be a celebrity who can do such a thing already, or something similar.
Yeah.
We can all hope that it gets down to a level where I could afford to do it just once, because like if it were that cheap, then they would have to raise the price anyway, because I'm sure that they have to limit the number of these SUVs that are allowed on the tarmac.
Right.
And like they have to price it so that literally only a few of us can afford it.
Yeah. I guess I thought there are some things in life that even money can't buy. And I guess I thought that for major airports, if you weren't flying private, that regular commercial flights just didn't have any other options.
Yeah,
sure,
yeah.
You can go to an executive lounge between the time that you check in and the time you decide to walk onto the plane, but there's nothing else you can really do to streamline your experience or to make it more enjoyable, I guess. But now I know there apparently is such a thing.
Yeah, because this is so different from just the, like, having the right credit card or paying the right membership and being able to wait like on the other side of that wall.
Right.
So this is more than that.
Thoughts, Dylan?
You very quickly get the idea that, like, if this is the kind of thing that I ever showed up to, they would instantly know they needed to raise the price. Like, I'm not the kind of person that they're targeting. I'm not the kind of person that they'll be marketing to. If I show up in my khaki shorts and flip flops and my Ohio State t-shirt, they're going to be like, we're not charging enough for this. So it sounds great for people much wealthier than me.
For somebody else. But we can dream.
Yeah. It would be the one time where they'd be like, oh, sorry, the bar and the restaurant are closed this time. Enjoy the leather couch over there. There's an open spot by the lady breastfeeding.
If you're the type of person that subscribes to Rob Report, where I read one of the articles about this service, then you're probably one of the people that can afford such a service.
I can imagine Columbus is home to NetJets. I can imagine there's probably a lot of people that utilize NetJets that would probably pay for something like that. After watching the show on Disney Plus, the Dubai airport show, like they have something similar in their airport. It's like a private lounge. Like Pele used that once. He was flying across the world, and like that was the kind of person. Those kind of people we forget like travel all the time. That are like international sports, movie, entertainment stars. And then there's all the super wealthy people around the world whose family can afford to do that, but you would never know who they are. There's like all the billionaires and their cousins and nephews and nieces and kids and, third cousin twice removed that can afford to fly like that. It sounds great for everybody that's like that I described. It's not for me. It's fine.
It's interesting that maybe it's at a spot where like maybe some of the NetJets folks, where this would take care of some of the reasons that they're NetJets folks, and so they can maybe downgrade and save money.
Yeah,
by doing this kind of thing. Because I do think that, like, although you have to be connected or probably a certain level of celebrity, it seems like you can do this. One thing that I've thought about is that with celebrities, you often see like, look who I saw flying first class on United or whatever, the picture of some celebrity. But like, I don't remember seeing any of those with them like sitting in the waiting area at the airport or like getting checked out at the ticket counter.
They're hanging out like somewhere.
That. They're hanging out somewhere else. They did security somewhere else. They're not just in like the MasterCard Flyer Miles lounge. They're not even like where they are is something more special than that. And they're not getting on the plane at the same gate as everyone else. So, yeah.
Although I do really enjoy when a celebrity or somebody will do a social media post, or you'll see pictures of them trying to hide and be like whatever it is that they do that thinks that hides them. I always find somebody filmed Leonardo DiCaprio walking into something, and his hat was so far down it couldn't have. And he had sunglasses, big sunglasses on, and he was just walking like this. Like, there's no way you weren't drawing attention to yourself.
Exactly. It's like, especially if you're like in Hollywood, you got to be thinking, okay, that is someone famous. Now I just have to figure out which famous person
now I just have to know who it is. Yeah, it was stupid. Like his hat was It was almost like covering his eyes down over his eyes.
And it's the hat with no logo on it, like on TV shows.
Yeah.
All right, here's story number 2. And I like the idea, by the way, that these celebrities just pop up like the Disney princesses at theme parks. Like there's a secret underground tunnel and they just pop out on the plane. All right, story number 2. So did you guys hear the story about the guy who just opened the door mid-flight on his plane?
Yeah.
Holy crap. So you already know, for folks who don't, a passenger who was arrested after a plane door was opened on a domestic aircraft mid-flight has said he was uncomfortable and wanted to get off the plane quickly, according to South Korean media. The man also told police he was stressed after losing his job. The Yonhap news agency has reported, citing the country's Daegu Dongbu police station. Officials have so far only identified the man by his surname Lee. He allegedly opened the door of Asiana Airlines plane when he was 700 feet above the ground. It caused panic on board. With footage, you can watch video of this captured by a passenger showing air blasting through the cabin and whipping people's faces and hair. Like the old, you put the shop air nozzle on your mouth and your mouth is agape. 9 passengers were taken to the hospital with breathing issues. They were all discharged after about 2 hours. They arrested the guy, blah, blah, blah. Crazy. Apparently you can just open the doors now.
That's wild. Yeah, like I saw that. I saw a little bit of the video, and it's just I'm sure some of those people closest to the door actually put fingerprints into the armrests from them digging in so tightly just to try to freaking hang on. And can you imagine if anyone was even remotely close that guy couldn't see that had been up moving, like to go to the bathroom, like that amount of air pressure change? Like if you didn't make it to the toilet, they certainly shit their pants in that moment. Like,
and in that environment, that would have blown all over the place.
Oh my gosh. Just gross.
So a few questions arise, and one of our loyal listeners might be able to help us with this because they're a flight attendant. But first thing is, because they were that low relative to where planes fly, it's like the whole getting sucked out thing is more relevant at higher altitudes, right? Because the cabin pressurization and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
They were low enough. They were landing. They're low enough that's not going to happen, but it's still.
From what we've heard, like that doesn't happen. Also, right. Like that's not a thing.
I think the MythBusters proved that not real. The other thing was, and the thing I was thinking of, like, before takeoff, you always hear the flight attendant say, "You're sitting in an exit row. In case of an emergency, are you willing and able to open this door?" Now you have to ask, do you tend to freak out and want to open doors to escape places? Like you're going to have to change the line of questioning for those folks. Like, do you get really anxious or nervous in situations?
Man, as a big guy, like I try harder than most people to sit in one of those rows. And so part of me wants to, like, when the flight attendant asks me, "Are you willing and able to open this door in case of an emergency?" I kind of want to snap back with, "Yes, but what if I have really bad impulse control?"
That's what I'm saying. They're going to now need like an asterisk on the question.
I've got voices in my head that are just like, hit the red button. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I lost my job. I'm kind of stressing. I'm a little bit claustrophobic.
That depends. Are you willing and able to give me extra peanuts and a Coke? If I'm really thirsty or hungry, I might need the string.
How much does this gig pay? Yeah.
Will you give me the whole can of ginger ale, or will you just pour it into this clear glass?
or just like the boomer complained about self-checkouts. Just tell them I don't work here.
She comes back after you've had your full Coke. "Is that good, sir? Do you need anything else?" And you just go, "I'm still."
Are you? If you think it's okay for me to be drinking, I would enjoy something.
That's all I had. I think
Yeah.
just once I would like to save my pennies and try to experience what this private suite thing is like. I think where you get the most bang for your buck is on international flights, but the price is more toward the $4,000 range for those longer flights. And I imagine that's per person. So if you're taking your family somewhere, that's going to add up quickly. But man, would it be nice to just experience that just once.
With your luck, you're going to have like Dean Cain and Taylor Swift in the lounge with you. And I would go and it would be empty. And because somebody just pooped all over the floor and the restaurant and bar would be closed. And I'd be like, can I have a refund? Because this stinks. And they'd be like, nope. Enjoy your perfect suite.
With my luck, I just told you about my bike not starting in a line of 100 motorcycles. So something like that would happen to me when I meet Taylor Swift.
Yeah. But the rest of the motorcycles were just across the street waiting for you. Like,
exactly.
Like it was fine, Kory.
Yeah. The answer there is there was 1,000 other bikers who could help you. You weren't there by yourself when no one else was around.
Okay. I like that's a good point.
While Dylan is stuck alone in his room, throwing a ball up against a wall.
Exactly. A poop-filled perfect suite with nobody there and no food. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So this is the back half of the episode. So speaking of leftovers, we were talking about your delicious Chinese and Thai food earlier, and I was thinking about this earlier. So we did a lot of cleaning today. I was off work. My company was closed for Juneteenth. So we were doing lots of kind of extra cleaning today that needed done. We were kind of tired, didn't want to make dinner. And my wife said, just order pizza. There's a pizza place near us that you can also get lasagna and spaghetti. So it works well because like they can get salad and spaghetti and all that stuff. So I ordered it and realized that I still had very high quality leftover pizza from several days ago in the fridge. And I felt obligated to finish that pizza before I could finish any of the new pizza that was on its way. So that begs the question, do you have any rules for leftovers? If they've been sitting too long, does a higher quality leftover make you feel forced to eat it? If you paid for it versus home cooked, do you feel more likely you have to finish it? Because this was like $8 of pizza left worth, not like like 2 pieces left of a Little Caesars $5 whatever. This was like we got high end pizza a couple days ago, and there was a good amount left.
The only rule that I can think of is yes. I feel like if it was like leftovers from a fancy dinner, not even fancy, just heck, a night where you get an appetizer, a main course, and a dessert from J. Alexander can add up really quickly. So it doesn't. I wouldn't call that fancy, but it's pretty penny.
Not in your world, yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Dean Cain and Taylor Swift. Rub it in.
So I feel like I have to eat it. So my point was the only rule I feel like I have for that food is I have to try to get it back as close to how it was presented to me as possible in terms of temperature and presentation. So even though it's leftovers, I can't just eat it cold out of that black styrofoam clamshell box. I have to like try to get it back to the temperature it was served at, put it on a nicer plate, and try like the fanciest version of eating leftovers feels appropriate for the nicer quality foods. If it's just a piece of pizza from a 3 pizza night at our household, it's like, I could just eat it cold and then maybe not even eat the crust because it's too hard anyway.
See, so my thing is, like if I order pizza, I'll typically leave it out throughout the day. And then I'll put it in the fridge. And then if I know I'm going to eat it the next day, like at 10 a.m., I'll go pull it out of the fridge and I might not even heat it up, but I'll let it sit out at room temperature and just eat it that way. So it's the crust isn't as hard, the whatever. But by the time you get to like 2 days and 3 days later, Now I know I have to microwave it, but I do the thing that it feels like it works. If I've got to like nuke it and I'm for whatever reason not baking it or air frying it, I'll put a little cup of water in the microwave that supposedly like keeps moisture in there, especially for stuff that has crust like pizza, to where the bread could get hard. And it was really good. Admittedly, it was very, very good heated up that way. But that's like its own set of rules, like multiple rules for how I'll eat pizza. Is it the same day, the next day, 2 days later? Did I remember to set it out on the counter a couple hours earlier so it's kind of room temperature, or am I pulling it out cold and then I've got to heat it up different? So anyways, that's its own thing for me. Kendall, do you have any rules general? If you had Chinese leftovers and then you ordered more and you still had really good Chinese leftovers from Saturday, are you like, oh crap, I got to finish the ones from Saturday first?
I wouldn't feel that compulsion, but I do specifically, but I do generally speaking feel the compulsion to finish leftovers most of the time. There's some exceptions to that, like French fries suck reheated. Some types of French fries are salvageable in a toaster oven.
Air fryer can, if they're not too far gone, too brown initially, you can air fry.
Yeah, air fryer, toaster oven,
like, toaster, either
the same kind of thing, and they'll at least get the outside crispy than not. But so like for fries, for example, I have a specific rule about fries. I always will take fries home only if I'm taking something else home as well. But I don't feel like I have to eat those fries. They're just there in case I want to go through the rigmarole of sticking them in the toaster oven. And if I don't feel bad throwing them away.
That's so true.
Other than that, I'm like, for everything, I try to eat it by the fourth day. And then on day 4, if it hasn't been eaten, I'll throw it away. There's a lot of things that I like cold out of the refrigerator. I don't even care if it came in the black clamshell box, which, by the way, the black boxes are the tuxedo of the takeout world. So
food tastes way better out of the black ones than the white ones.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've been eating cold lasagna and I like that.
What a treat. I used to like to just cut a hunk of cold lasagna and grab it like a cookie or a roll.
Eat it like a brownie, like a delicious Italian brownie.
Yeah, brownie makes more sense. That's a better word. And just hold it like a hunk of brownie and just eat it cold like that. Yeah, it's not falling apart. It's too cold.
That's right.
You guys are pizza connoisseurs. Do you do cast iron to reheat pizza? Sherry swears by that. She's like, it's so good.
It supposedly does. And it actually depends even on the pizza for me. Because like I said, I don't mind it being room temperature. So some I can just sit out for a few hours before I'm going to eat it. And it's fine for me. Air fryer works well. Baking some works well. There's the place that we go locally that has spaghetti. Their crust somehow stays soft, even in the fridge, like a day or two later. So like, I really don't mind it cold because the crust is even still good. Some places don't have that. Like you've got to put it in the air fryer. You've got to do a pan. So it definitely changes by pizza for me and almost mood. Like I knew the pizza today was gonna need to be reheated. I kind of wanted hot pizza. So
yeah,
I nuked it and I knew this particular kind was going to be fine if I threw it in the microwave.
I feel like New York style pizza is better cold. Anything else sort of asks to be reheated for me.
Yeah. Here's something that I learned from Sam the Cooking Guy that I've done a few times and I've enjoyed. As long as it's not like super thick, like Jet's kind of pizza is, you just chop the pizza up on a cutting board and throw it into a pan, heat it up, pour scrambled eggs on top, and omelet that sucker.